from Forbes Breaking News, Amy Klobuchar advocates for a pathway to citizenship for Dreamers. And this is all so slimy. Pathway to citizenship for Dreamers, which basically just means, well, how are we going to give free stuff to illegals and the anchor babies they popped out? I mean, we got to give free stuff to somebody. We tried to do it to the black people for the last 30 or 40 years, but we didn't really, and now they can kind of see through it. But my name's Eric. This channel is called Report and Opine. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I'm absolutely begging you.
I'm begging you, please. Come on, please.
Because the algorithm is a beast and would help me a lot. Costs you nothing. But if you want to help me even more and spend a little bit of money, go ahead and buy my book, New York City 2020 Gotham Unglued, on Amazon.com. That link will be in the description.
Senator Klobuchar.
Thank you very much, Senator Durbin. And I want
and let's remember, right? Do you all remember from 2019? Oh, she's looking rough. Okay, that's what corruption will do to you. But in the 2020 campaign season, when Amy Klobuchar was running and they had the big debate and Julian Castro said it was going to be reproductive justice for Transformers.
I don't believe only in reproductive freedom. I believe in reproductive justice. And, you know, what that means is that just because a woman, or let's also not forget, someone in the trans community, a trans female, is poor, doesn't mean they shouldn't have the right to exercise that right to choose.
None of that made any sense. But somewhere in that madness, Amy Klobuchar was also called out for being incredibly rude to our staff members and eating salad with a fork. That has nothing to do with this, but I thought it was funny.
I wanted to clarify, I guess, with you, Professor Wong, one more thing. When we're talking about Dreamers...
And, I'm sorry, last thing. This woman, I'm pretty sure, is... She like looks up to Hillary. I'm sure they all look up to Hillary Clinton, right? I mean, Hillary Clinton is queen of the awfuls.
The awfuls, the affluent white female liberals in the Democrat Party.
And everybody below her just hopes to get to that level, right? Obviously, kickback Kathy Hochul, who says, oh, we're going to save the blacks. They're too stupid to even know what a computer is. And she also works in Minnesota, where they decided to redesign the flag because it was so insensitive and offensive and racist. All right, let's go.
And people with temporary status, TPS, and deferred enforced departure. Are we talking about people seeking asylum at the southern border right now?
Well, okay, lady. She looks like a Simpsons. She looks like Miss Krabappel or something. Like, what? Are you drunk, lady? What is wrong with you?
No, we're not.
Okay, and what in fact are we talking about?
We are talking about people who are currently in the country, who have grown up in this country, who have known nothing but this country, the DREAM Act population.
Yeah, and you know what? Too bad, right? Because this new wave of illegals has ruined it for everybody. You could have flown under the radar. You could have hopped over the fence. You could have worked in a kitchen. You could have worked at a landscaping company. You could have done whatever it is you want if you just stayed under the radar. But this group of Venezuelans and Hondurans and all of these people, they have ruined it for everybody. They've blown your cover. Now you got to get the hell out of here. They're living under the bridge, sending a list of demands to the mayor in Denver, attacking cops, eliminating Americans in Georgia. Yeah, so I'd say that's enough for you for everybody, right, to go back to wherever the hell you came from and try again the correct way, right? We all dealt with it. It's the same thing, like I say, in New York or California for that matter. It's like it would have been worth the price of entry. There's a lot of nightlife, right? You can walk around. There's stores on every corner. You felt okay, and you paid a little bit. You paid some hefty taxes for that benefit and those opportunities, but you overplayed the hand. The politicians and the Venezuelans, but I repeat myself, they're all criminals, and you got greedy, right? Greed will be the death of you. I have another story about that, but we'll save that for a different day.
Is distinct from the flows that we're seeing at the southern border.
Okay, thank you. I guess I would start with you, Ms. Pacheco. Thank you so much.
So she's drinking from the same martini glass as Nancy Pelosi or something. She looks completely disheveled, and she comes up here and wants to advocate for a pathway to citizenship, a sentence that alone is basically 100% euphemisms?
Much for your testimony. I just want to use one example from my state. Carlos, he was brought to the U.S. when he was 7 months old.
Okay. Do you really want to start using examples? Is that really what you want to do? Do you want to start name dropping all the people that you believe are amazing and go toe to toe with all the people who have committed heinous crimes? Is that what you want to do?
And he discovered when he was 11 that he was undocumented. And in high school, he received numerous awards for academic.
Every single thing they say is a euphemism. He discovered that he was undocumented. You mean that he was an anchor baby? He was illegal, his parents were illegal, they're all criminals? Is that what you mean to say?
Academic excellence. He was captain of the varsity soccer team. He earned a scholarship. He attended Carleton College in Minnesota. He was granted DACA status, and today he works at a law firm. Stories like his are why I support a pathway to citizenship for dreamers.
Okay, so you can take one person and he has an amazing story and that's why you support it. Fine. Let's take one story of a heinous criminal who beat up a cop or killed a girl in Georgia and say, this is why I support not allowing any of them to step 1 foot inside of the United States. What are you talking about, lady?
They know no other country. Can you talk about why this pathway is so critical?
Well, it's critical not just for the DACA recipients and those that are fully undocumented for the Dreamers, but it's also critical for our country.
How do we keep letting them get away with using completely false narratives? Oh, DACA, oh, undocumented. Bro, it's too late. That would have worked 10 or 15 years ago. But it's quite clear now that this is much more sinister, and all of these people, politicians included, should go the hell away.
Today, we have teachers, nurses, doctors, you name it, working and supporting in our economy. What would it be if we were to lose DACA in the middle of the school year and an elementary school teacher has to leave her classroom?
So what? Who cares? I'm sure that would be fine for all of the American kids, and they would get over it in a semester, at most.
That would be a detriment not only to her, but her children and the whole entire community that depends on her to educate those kids.
Okay. And then I guess one example, since you brought up police officers. Officer, I want to thank you for your service. You've been here for 20 years. Next week is Police Week, when we honor you and others who serve in uniform. You testified.
No, look, okay. This lady is horrible. She's been horrible, since I've known her, since the 2020 election cycle. But, and without getting super personal, what is wrong with you, lady? You look completely disheveled. This isn't even remotely realistic. You literally look like you just crawled out from a bar floor and went to this Senate hearing.
That if DACA were to end, your career in law enforcement would end. I'm well aware, carrying the cops bill, how much of a shortage we have right now in officers. Beyond your service, there's just a shortage in retaining and in getting officers and keeping them in the field. What has it been like to live with this uncertainty professionally, and talk about why you chose law enforcement when you could choose many other careers?
Like I mentioned in my story, everything happened that day of the car accident when I was with my mom and my other sister. There are another vehicle struck us where we were driving. The way the officer explained to us everything and he talked to us, he could just be like, I'm not going to help you, and just don't explain anything. And by the fact that he knew that my mother did not speak English and my English wasn't very well, he decided to.
Yeah, and your English still is not very well. But what does this have to do with allowing anchor babies and illegals to run roughshod over Americans? Because this lady somehow became a cop and is telling a sob story about her family? Bro, it's just too late. You tried it. You were successful for a long time. But you got to give somebody else a chance. Go back to the dungeon, like I always say, and come up with a new plan instead of random sob stories about your childhood and disheveled, drunk Amy Klobuchar.
Start speaking Spanish to us. So by seeing that, that's what encouraged me to be like, I want to be able to do the same. I want to be able to help my community that I grew up with and help the rest of the people here. So that's why I chose to become a police officer.
That's why you chose to become a police officer. And you didn't choose to learn proper English in that entire time. Got it.
Did you ever meet that officer again and tell him that he was your inspiration?
I have not seen him, but the day that comes, hopefully one day, I get to see him again and I can let him know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Professor Wong, in your testimony, you talk about the economic impact of Dreamers. One estimate, Dreamers contribute an estimated $45 billion to the U.S. economy and through their wages and pay $13 billion annually in taxes. You testified that with a pathway to citizenship, Dreamers would add $2.5 billion per year in additional state and local tax revenue. Explain that and what these economic consequences.
Oh yeah. The illegals are going to be a part of this booming economy. Is that the point you're trying? This is crazy.
Yeah, that 2.5 billion number is actually a conservative estimate. So it assumes an 8.5% increase in wages post legalization. So when we're thinking about projecting economic benefits, we are thinking about what life is like economically for an undocumented person versus somebody.
What life is like for an illegal. Okay, so you have the lady cop who barely speaks English, you have drunk Amy Klobuchar, and you got this weird little effeminate dude telling you that illegals are amazing. Is it, who's this? Who are you selling this to? Right? I mean, you're not selling this to anybody who won't immediately benefit from. And when I say benefit, obviously the political regime is going to benefit and the illegals are going to benefit and they're going to get the crumbs that the weirdo political elite are going to throw down, but it's not going to help anybody who is, I don't know, born in America.
Who has legal status and can fully participate in the economy. So that $2.5 billion additional revenue per year is a conservative estimate because that 8.5% is on the very low end of what we've seen DACA recipients produce. We actually see that DACA recipients have increased wages up to 164%. So that means that the
DACA recipients have increased wages. Okay, let's hear how that happened.
The projected increase in revenue could be significantly higher than existing economic projections.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Nobles, I'm so sorry for your loss, and I'm a strong supporter of more security at the border and hoping we...
No, you're not. You're quite literally advocating for illegals.
We can merge some of these issues and get this done.
This cold slice of heaven is my 40th beer of the afternoon, so any of you dick nips think you can slug it down faster than me, you're welcome to get your bad asses up here top.
Yeah, no. Put your... Oh, I'm going to need that.
You ruining everything.
Okay.
This is genuinely crazy, right? I mean, you've got these people selling this false narrative to, I guess, the illegals who could barely speak English and some weirdo college Democrats